Hello learner, greetings of the day. Welcome to my video lecture on computer networks and security with the subject code 18CS52. The video lecture discusses on module 4 which is related to network security. In the entire module we will be discussing about overview of network security, elements of network security, classification of network attacks that means different types of network attacks, overview of security methods, symmetric key cryptography where we will be discussing two algorithms DES and AES, public key cryptography with the two algorithms RSA algorithm and Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol. And next we'll be discussing about authentication where we will be discussing about hash functions, and one of the well-defined hash functions or algorithm is SHA, and next we'll be discussing about digital signatures. And at last the module discusses on firewalls, packet filtering and proxy server. Network security is a top priority issue in data networks. As communication networks are growing rapidly, security issues have pushed to the forefront of concern for end users, administrators, and equipment suppliers. Despite enormous joint efforts by various groups to develop effective security solutions for networks, hackers continue to pose new serious threats by taking advantage of weakness present in the internet infrastructure. So network security becomes one of the top priority in the data networks. If you consider the elements of network security, we have two important elements. They are confidentiality and authenticity and integrity. Confidentiality refers to the information should be available only to those have rightful access to it. Unauthorized system or person should not access the data whatever we transfer through the network. Authenticity and integrity, so this here it refers to the sender of the message and the message itself should be verified at the receiving point. Here we can prevent unauthorized system or person accessing the data and modifying the data. So we can say that in order to provide security for the data which are transferring through the network, we have to ensure confidentiality along with authenticity and integrity. With this diagram, I will be explaining you what is the meaning of confidentiality, authenticity and integrity of data. For example, we have user 1 and user 2 where user 1 will send some message to user 2 and this intruder will try to access the data whatever sent from user 1 to user 2 and he will try to change the data and send back to user 2. Whenever user 1 sends plain message to user 2, the intruder can access the data from the network. The intruder is a unauthorized person who try to access the data from the network. And once he accesses the data, he can read the data directly since the user 1 transfers plain message directly to user 2 where we do not maintain the confidentiality of the data. So anyone in the network can read the data without any problem. So here we don't have any confidentiality of the data. And again intruder can change the data and he can send to user 2, and here again we are not maintaining the integrity of the data, and even user 2 cannot authenticate that the message has been received from the user 1 only. So here we fails to authenticate the sender also. So that is why we have to ensure that the confidentiality of the data is maintained, and the receiver should authenticate the actual sender, and he has to identify the integrity of the data. So now what we can do with respect to network security elements. So whenever user 1 sends the data to the network or through the network to user 2, without sending the plain message, he has to convert this plain message to some other code, so that even though intruder can try to access, he cannot read that particular data. And if at all user 2 can authenticate the sender for his message, now unless until he receives the data from user 1, he will not receive the data. And the data whatever user 1 has sent, only user 2 can decode the data whatever user 1 has sent. Now here even integrity of the data is maintained. So that is why the network security has to provide confidentiality, authentication, and integrity of the data. Internet infrastructure attacks are broadly classified into 4 categories as follows: DNS hacking, routing table poisoning, packet mistreatment, and denial of service. Among these threats, the first 3 attacks, that are DNS hacking, routing table poisoning, and packet mistreatment, related to network infrastructure, whereas denial of service attacks are related to end systems. Now we will see these attacks in detail. The first one is DNS hacking attack. Domain name system server is a distributed hierarchical and global directory that translates domain names into numerical IP address. DNS is a critical infrastructure, and all hosts contact DNS to access server and start connections. In the normal mode of operations, hosts send UDP queries to the DNS server. Servers reply with the proper answer or direct the queries to smarter servers. A DNS server also stores information other than host addresses. Name resolution services in the modern internet environment are essential for email transmission, navigation to websites, or data transfer. So an attack on DNS can potentially affect a large portion of the internet. A DNS hacking attack may result in the lack of data authenticity and integrity, and can appear in any of the following forms. We have an information level attack, masquerading attack or middleman attack, information leakage, and domain hijacking. An information level attack forces a server to correspond with other than the correct answer. With the cache poisoning, a hacker tricks a remote name server into caching the answer for a third-party domain by providing malicious information for the domain's authorized servers. Hackers can then redirect traffic to the pre-selected site. In a masquerading attack, the adversary poses as a trusted entity and obtains all the secret information. In this, the attacker can stop any message from being transmitted further, and can change the content or redirect the packet to bogus servers. That is why this is also called as middleman attack. The attacker normally sends queries to each host and receives in reply the DNS host name. In an information leakage attack, the attacker sends queries to all hosts and identifies which IP addresses are not used. Then later, the attacker can use those unused IP addresses for attacking the other system in the network. With respect to a domain hijacking attack, various tools are available to register domain names over the internet. If the tools are not smart enough, an invader might obtain secure information and use it to hijack the domain later. In the domain hijacking attack, whenever a user enters a domain address, the attacker forced to enter into the attacker's website, user is forced to enter into the attacker's website. This can be very irritating and can cause a great loss of the internet usage ability. The next is routing table poisoning attack. A routing table poisoning attack is the undesired modification of routing tables. We have seen that routing tables stores information which is related to routing of packets in the network. An attacker can do this by maliciously modifying the routing information update packets sent by routers. This is a challenging and important problem as a routing table is the basis for routing in the internet. Any false entry in a routing table could lead to significant consequences such as congestion, an overwhelmed host, looping, illegal access to data, and network partition. Two types of routing table poisoning attacks are the link attack and the router attack. A link attack occurs when a hacker gets access to a link and thereby interrupts, or modifies routing messages on packets. Link attacks act similarly on both the link state and the distance vector protocol. If an attacker succeeds in placing an attack in a link state routing protocol, a router may send incorrect updates about its neighbors or remain silent even if the link state of its neighbor has changed. The attack through a link can be so severe that the attacker can program a router to either drop a packets from a victim or readdress packet to a victim, resulting in a lower throughput of the network. Sometimes a router can stop an intended packet from being forwarded further. However, since more than one path to any destination exists, the packet ultimately reaches its destination. In a router attack, it may affect the link state protocol or even the distance vector protocol. If the link state protocol routers are attacked, they become malicious. They may add a non-existing link to a routing table, delete an existing link, or even change the cost of the link. This attack may cause a router to simply ignore the updates sent by its neighbors, leading to a serious impact on the operability of the network traffic flow. In the distance vector protocol, an attacker may cause routers to send wrong updates about any node in the network, thereby misleading a router and resulting in a network problems. Most unprotected routers have no way to validate updates. Therefore, both link state and distance vector routers attack are very effective. In the distance vector protocol, for example, a malicious router can send wrong information in the form of a distance vector to all its neighbors. A neighbor may not be able to detect this kind of attack and thus proceeds to update its routing table based on the wrong distance vectors. The errors can in turn be propagated to a great partition of the network before being detected. So that is why routing table poisoning attacks are very severe in the internet. The next type of attack is packet mistreatment attack. So this attack can occur during any data transmission. A hacker may capture certain data packets and mistreat them. This type of attack is very difficult to detect. So these type of attacks are called as sometimes passive attacks. The attack may result in congestion, lowering throughput, and denial of service attack. Similar to routing table poisoning attacks, packet mistreatment attacks can also be subclassified into link attacks and router attacks. The link attack causes interruption, modification, or replication of data packets. A router attack can misroute all packets and may result in congestion or denial of service. Following are some examples of packet mistreatment attacks. The first one is interruption. If an attacker intercepts packets, they may not be allowed to be propagated to their destination, resulting in a lower throughput of the network. This kind of attack cannot be detected easily as even in the normal operation, routers can drop some packets for various reasons. The next is modification. The attackers may succeed in accessing the content of a packet while in transit and change its content. They can then change the address of the packet or even change its data also. To solve this kind of problem, a digital signature mechanism can be used. The next is replication. An attacker might trap a packet and replay it. This kind of attacks can be detected by using the sequence number for each packet. The next is ping of death. An attacker may send a ping message which is large and therefore must be fragmented for transport. The receiver then starts to reassemble the fragments as the ping fragments arrive. The total packet length becomes too large and might cause a system to crash. The last one is malicious misrouting of packets. A hacker may attack a router and change its routing table, resulting in misrouting of data packets, causing a denial of service. The last type of attack is denial of service attack, which is an important type of attack. A denial of service attack is a type of security breach that prohibits a user from accessing normally provided services. The denial of service does not result in information theft or any kind of information loss, but can be very dangerous as it can cost the target person a large amount of time and money. Denial of service attack affect the destination rather than a data packet or the router. Usually a denial of service attack affects a specific network service such as email or DNS. For example, such an attack may overwhelm the DNS server in various ways and make it inoperable. One way of initiating this attack is by causing buffer overflow. Inserting an executable code inside the memory can potentially cause a buffer overflow. Or an adversary may use various tools to send large number of queries to a DNS server, which then is not able to provide services in a timely manner. Denial of service attacks are easy to generate but difficult to detect. They take important servers out of the action for a few hours, thereby denying service to all users. There are yet a few other situations that can cause these kind of attacks such as UDP flood, TCP flood and ICMP flood. In all these attacks, the hacker's main aim is to overwhelm victim and disrupt services provided to them. DNS attacks can happen in two different ways. One is single source. Here, an attacker sends a large number of packets to a target system to overwhelm and disable it. These packets are designed such that their real sources cannot be identified. So here, attacker uses only single system to attack uh, the particular or targeted system. The second one is distributed denial of service. In this type of attack, a large number of hosts are used to flood unwanted traffic to a single target. Instead of single system, here multiple systems are used to target or to attack the target system. The target cannot then accessible to other users in the network as it is processing the flood to traffic or the number of so many number of packets or traffic. The flood may be either a UDP flood or a TCP SYN flood. We have seen that SYN packet is used to establish the connection. The same can be used for attack a particular system. UDP flood is used against two target systems and can stop the services offered by either system. Hackers link Hackers link the UDP character generating services of a system to another one by sending UDP packets with spoofed return addresses. This may create an infinite looping between the two systems, leading to system uselessness. Normally, a SYN packet is sent by a host to a user who intends to establish a connection. The user then sends back an acknowledgement. In the TCP SYN flood, a hacker sends a large number of SYN packets to a target user. Since the return addresses are spoofed, The target user queues up a SYN or acknowledgement packet and never processes it. Therefore, the target system keeps on waiting. This result may be hard disk crash or reboot. So this much is the some of the introductory part of network security and types of attacks. Thank you for watching. We'll meet in the next video.